Mitt Romney's got a new ad out in New Hampshire. It's got several different lies in it, one that at least some people are mercifully focusing on, but as always, they're calling it kind of even. Now, I want to show you the ad, I want to talk about the lies, and then show you what the media reaction is. So let's watch.
I am confident that we can steer ourselves out of this crisis. And who's been in charge of the economy? We need a rescue plan for the middle class. We need to provide relief for homeowners. It's going to take a new direction. If we keep talking about the economy, we're going to lose.
I'm going to do something to government. I call it the smaller, simpler, smarter approach to government. Getting rid of programs, turning programs back to states, and finally making government itself more efficient. I'm going to get rid of Obamacare. It's killing jobs, and it's keeping our kids from having the bright prospects they deserve. We have a moral responsibility not to spend more than we take in. I'll make sure that America is a job-creating machine like it has been in the past. It's high time to bring those principles of fiscal responsibility to Washington, D.C. I'm Mitt Romney, and I approve this message.
All right, I think there are three principal problems with that ad. First is he says healthcare is killing jobs, the healthcare program by Obama. Well, that's absurd. Number one, most of that program has not been implemented. The great majority of it gets implemented in 2014. Are there any facts or studies, research that shows that the healthcare program has actually cost us jobs? None whatsoever. He just says it. Of course, there's a second part of that misleading statement, which is that Mitt Romney did the same exact healthcare program in Massachusetts. Now he's turning around and saying, God damn Obama, I can't believe he did my program. It's killing us. It's killing the jobs. Not true. Not true. Just made it up. And then at the end, he says, oh, I'm going to create a job-creating machine. But look, the facts are in on that as well. When he was governor of Massachusetts, he was ranked 47th out of 50 governors in job creation. He's number 47. But it's an interesting thing where Mitt Romney's decided that his campaign is going to be focused on jobs, which makes sense as far as politics is concerned, but he's going to claim that he's great at creating jobs when he has no track record of creating jobs. Whether that kind of, misleading campaign will work is an interesting question. But the main lie in the ad was when they quoted Obama saying, if we keep talking about the economy, we're going to lose. Now, you want to know what the reality is? That was Obama in 2008. Quoting a John McCain advisor. The early part of that sentence, which they cut out of the video, was a John McCain advisor says, if we keep talking about the economy, we're going to lose. So you could not quote him more out of context. That is an absolute lie. Obama did not say that about his own campaign. He said it about McCain's campaign. It's the exact opposite of what the reality is. Now, the troubling part is how the media is handling it. Now, some people have been great. Ryan Lizett, the New Yorker, called it a lie. Jake Tapper was very strong at ABC News. 3 different tweets on it, including one that says, to just quote the last part is so deceptive, it's a lie. Okay, so some have done a very good job. Others, of course, not so much. You're not going to be surprised to find out Mark Halpern is a guy who just quoted, both sides. Well, Romney says this, Obama says that, which is the classic media trick. And then First Read for MSNBC, same thing. It appears to be out of context, but the Romney spokespeople say this. Well, which one is it? Is it out of context or not? You should say it's out of context and clearly a lie. Now, the king of all this is Politico. They write a piece called Who Wins This Round? And so that's the title, and then they go on to explain, well, Romney did quote him out of context, but maybe that's a win for him, because then now we're talking about whether Obama's a failure or not. In fact, he's created a larger debate around this ad and a larger debate around this question, and it brings on the wrong focus for Obama. So brilliant job, possibly, from Romney of directing the conversation, even though he totally lied about it. And of course, Politico never actually calls it a lie, right? Now, I saw that, and I remembered, wait a minute, when Alan Grayson did something similar in his last campaign and quoted Dan Webster, his opponent, out of context, I remember the media going crazy about it, saying, oh, this shows how deceptive Grayson is, it's outrageous, etc. So I went back and did the research on it, and look at this. We've got a story from Politico. In it, they quote fact check as saying that Grayson distorted. They quoted the Orlando Sentinel as reprimanding him. They even quote his opponent's wife saying that he has a problem telling the truth. 3 different instances where basically they're accusing him of lying. Now, you want to know what the headline was? Grayson's Taliban ad backfires. So when a Republican lies, well, that's an interesting debate. And he maybe has done something really brilliant strategically. When a Democrat does something out of context, it backfired. It's outrageous. So it's not just that the media says he said, she said, which is the number one problem CNN has and a lot of these outlets have. But it's also when the Republicans and Democrats do the same exact thing, they give the Republicans the benefit of the doubt and they pounce on the Democrats or the progressives saying, aha, you see that? We got them. Why? Because they want to say, see, we don't have a liberal bias. We don't have a liberal bias. When a liberal does something slightly wrong, we crush them. When a Republican does something wrong, I don't know, we call it even. That charge of liberal bias has worked brilliantly over the last 30 years in totally neutering not only the press, but in fact giving the Republicans a massive advantage.